Welcome to What's the Scenario with PLRB, where we explore claims and coverage scenarios relevant to insurance professionals. I'm Alicia Watley.
I'm Mike Broad.
And I'm Jeff Kerensky.
All right, Jeff, what's the scenario?
Well, we have an adjuster who is assigned a property loss claim, and their insured's house is located in South Zanesville, Ohio, on Cinema Drive. And they experience a hail damage to a portion of the roof, and they make a claim for it on June 16th. Their homeowner's policy was only purchased on June 1st of the same month. So the claim brings up a number of questions, and luckily the adjuster is an employee of PLRB member company, so they log in onto our website, plrb.org, and when they log in using their company email, they realize that our website has recently been upgraded.
What?
Yeah, so it's got a new look and a member-structured approach. So how can the member use the new PLRB website to answer their question?
Well, before we even answer that question, I want to know what you're doing here.
Exactly. Every time we turn around, there's no Tim, there's somebody else here, Michelle. Now there's Jeff. I mean, what's going on, Jeff?
Who are you?
I have been with PLRB for too many years to say, but I have a coverage background. I've been a liability coverage attorney. I've been a property coverage attorney. And more recently, I wear the membership hat at PLRB. And so I get to really get more member input on how our members are using us, questions they might have, and perhaps even stumbling blocks that they have when they're trying to navigate our website. So I really appreciate getting to do this podcast with you all and kind of navigate our listeners through our new website so they can find the useful materials that could help them with a claim like this.
Exciting. Would you say, Jeff, that maybe this has been the pinnacle of your career at PLRB so far, as being on the podcast with us?
Yes.
I would say that this is the most favorite of all podcasts that I've ever been part of.
You're sure about that?
Yes.
Are you sure about that? You sure
that
about
is a fact.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Just don't ask me how many I've been part of.
Well, Jeff,
we're glad you're here, right?
Yeah, we're happy to have you here. So you're here to talk about, we've got a property claim loss. We're talking about this person is a member of a PLRB member company. We've got a new website. So what can this person do to find the answers to his questions?
I used to like to ask, how can we help this member, Jeff? How?
Well, I think the first thing before you start worrying about the various loss settlement and coverage issues, first thing you're going to want to know is, what are the odds that within 2 weeks of, you being on the risk, that there's a hail storm that comes through and causes hail damage? So, just because you go out to a loss site and you see hail damage doesn't mean that that occurred while you're on the risk. If that hailstorm occurred prior to June 1st under our scenario, then there's no coverage under this policy. They'd need to go back to whoever insured the property before that.
Right.
So, the first thing we want is to find out, was there even any hail that occurred at this location during the time, this 16-day period?
And you can find that on the PLRB website?
We have, if you go to our website, plrb.org, at the very top, we have a bunch of options of different types of things you can search for. And there is one tab that is called weather or weather cats. So if you go there, it opens up what we call the weather hub. And there's a whole bunch of options. But for simplicity's sake, in this situation, I would say your best bet is to just click where it says hail or hail search, because that's really all we need to know about, even though there's all kinds of perils that you can search for. So all you have to do is when you click on hail, it will open up and you'll see a map with, you can either put in the upper right corner, there's a box where you can type in your address, or on the left side, there's an area where you can just type in a date. So I like to start with the dates.
All right.
So I just type in like June 1st, let's say 2024 as the starting date, and then June 16th, because that's when the claim was made, 2024, and you click on apply, and that will give you a map of the United States, and you will see all these green dots throughout the entire United States.
What are those? These green
They
dots?
are weather reports. Some of them are official. Some of them are from weather spotters. And what you'd want to do is move the map to the portion of the United States by dragging it with your mouse to, in our case, Ohio. And then there's a little plus sign and a minus sign in the bottom left corner of the screen. You can just keep clicking on that plus sign, and you can zoom right in to Ohio, and you'll see as you do that, that these little green dots that are all over the map, they start getting spread out a little bit further and further and further, until you can start reading. It will say, it might say 1.0 or 2.0. Any guesses of what those numbers mean?
Size?
Yes.
Ooh.
Our weather experts.
Move over, Andrew.
So that will give you real quick a report of what size the hail was. So in this situation, if I zoomed in on Ohio, and I can see
Jeff, I got to stop you right there for just 1 second. As a longtime listener of the podcast, you know, anytime you mention the state Ohio, what do we have to do, Alicia? OH.
Ohio.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say drink.
Drink. Yeah, sorry, Jeff, but anybody that's a true Ohio State fan knows that you always have to spell out Ohio when you.
You don't have to, but he makes me.
You would be a good person to help with this scenario because, you know, I, not being from Ohio, would be thinking, well, I know where Ohio is on the map,
right? But
I sure don't know where South Zanesville is on the map.
That's a good question.
So maybe you know that, Mike, but
there's a town called Zanesville that's right down I-70 from me. And
okay.
I bet South Zanesville is just south of that. But you know what? I don't think it is.
Unless you're willing to go out on a ladder and look at our insured's roof for any property in the Ohio area, you're probably going to want to use our website.
Good
and
point.
You can type in the address. So I could type in Cinema Avenue, South Zanesville, and then it will show me where on the map that exact location is in comparison to the actual hail reports. So then I can actually see the path. There's also a section that says maximum estimated hail. And if you click on that, it does like a map overlay so that it shows you kind of where the projected path was of the hail. So in this type of situation, had I been looking, hey, was there any hail? It's when I click on that date range and I click on the little green dots near South Zanesville. Thank you. It will show me that there was actually 1 to 2 inch hail on June 14th.
There it is.
All right.
Ding, ding,
so we're not done yet.
We're not.
I mean, we're done with the weather component for the moment.
All right. So yeah, we've got a weather hub on our new PLRB website.
Right.
Let's add a little something to the mix here.
Yeah.
So there is only a part of the roof that was damaged.
Ooh.
Is there like any matching issues that can be found on plrb.org?
Yeah, can the website help with that, Jeff?
You have lots of rules, regulations, cases on what standards to use. Some courts say you take the line of sight rule. Some look at diminution in value. I mean, there's a lot of different standards. So you can't just say, oh, I know the rules of matching. You really need to know your particular state. And so I would go back to the homepage for learning what the matching requirements are. And you'll see at the top, there's 3 brand new things from our website. One is called the Liability Hub, one is the Property Hub, and one is the Auto Hub. We never had that before. I think it's really a great new feature of our website because it used to be, let's say, that you're a property adjuster wanting to find out, let's say, information on property case law, and you would type in your search terms, and you would, in addition to property stuff, you'd pull up stuff involving auto and CGL stuff, and
Right.
it was, it was like kind of looking for a needle in a haystack. Now with this new format, you can say, look, I only want auto legal materials, and I have to see all the other stuff. So in this particular case, I would click on the Property Hub. And then by clicking on the Property Hub, it would take me to that page. And then you'll see right there, there's a table of contents. And one of the things there is something called the 50 State Survey.
Ooh.
And we have something like 100 different common topics that we address statewide. When we say 50 state surveys, we're not taking a survey in 50 states. We are literally surveying, looking at what the case law is in all 50 states. So we have matching as one of our 50 state surveys. So that would be the best way to get there. But you could also, if you couldn't find a 50 state survey, there's also a search bar that you could type in like matching. And if you wanted to, Ohio, and you could pull up the same information that way. But a lot of people have said since the new website, hey, where did the 50 state surveys go? You just go right to where any of the liability, auto, or property hubs are, and you can find them there. So in this particular scenario, you don't always have to replace a roof that has partial hail damage. The Ohio law has specific language that it's got to be like a reasonable standard. So it doesn't have to be a perfect match, but it's got to be close, and it is a question of fact. But sometimes we have scenarios where either the roof shingles have faded a lot, and so the new ones are never going to match, or you have situations where just the shingles aren't made anymore. So in that situation, you're probably going to have to replace the whole roof. So that brings in a whole new problem, and that's building codes.
Can I run a scenario by you, Jeff? Since
Yeah.
this is what the scenario. But I wanted to go back to something you referenced. You said the new website has a bar.
Well, at the very top, not the kind of bar where I'm drinking my
rats.
water.
Okay. A
But
search bar.
A search bar.
All
At the
right.
very top, I mean, we have all kinds of news-related things and information about webinars and upcoming conferences and new cases and all that. But for the most part, when you're coming to our website, if you just look at the blue border at the top of the website, that generally will be your portal to any type of issue that you need to locate using our website.
Very cool. So in the scenario here, I think where you're going is, let's say there's a contractor out there, Jeff, that says, hey, there's a bunch of stuff here you have to replace according to code, like drip edges and ice barriers and all that kind of stuff. So I'm adding that all to my estimate of repair because you have to do it by code. Can PLRB.org help with that issue?
Fortunately, it can. And the good news is, that we have experts that can help as well. But if you click on the building code tab at the top, you can just type in your address. And generally speaking, just the town and state is enough. And some states have a building code for the entire state, and some states have a building code for every single town and municipality, which can be really overwhelming. But if you type in In this case, if I typed in, the address, it would pull up Ohio, and it would tell me that Ohio does have actually a statewide code, and it gives you the actual link to the code. And then it has specific information about whether drip edge is required, and all that just is right there. You don't have to go digging for it. We
Awesome.
put the most commonly asked questions there. But in the event that you can't find what you need, there's a ask PLRB or submit a building code question. So you don't need to do what I did and pull your hair out trying to find the answer. You can just submit the question, and our building code experts will get back in touch and not only provide you with the applicable building code, but sometimes people have just questions like, hey, I have the building code, but I'm fighting with, whether it's the public adjuster or the building inspector as to what the code actually means or requires, and we can help out with that as well.
So it sounds like a lot of people can go to www.plrb.org to get answers to their questions, to get adjuster training, to get building codes requirements. It sounds like a one-stop shop for all things insurance, property and casualty insurance related.
Right. Absolutely. What I find in my membership role is so many people are only aware of one part of PLRB, and they're not aware of all the resources that their membership includes.
All right, so I know you just went over all that PLRB has to offer. Your biggest takeaways are?
I would say PLRB is a place where you can get information pertinent to your claim immediately, typically. I mean, I hope you're not all working, nights and weekends and holidays, but if you ever need information and you don't want to wait, go to our PLRB's website. It's a great source of information, and it's wide range of types of training, education, and claims information that you can get. And if you ever get stuck, we are really truly customer focused. We don't like people being on hold. We don't like people waiting for a response. Call us, email us. We're always happy to help you out and show you around to find the information that you need.
That's great. And if I was an adjuster that wanted to learn more, I would, of course, go out to www.plrb.org and check out all these cool hubs that Jeff's talking about. Or underneath the hubs, I think you'll find stuff like the education tab, the weather tab hub, the building codes, all the cool stuff that Jeff used in his scenario are right there at your fingertips at plrb.org. Alicia, can you put that stuff in the show notes?
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
So also in the show notes, you'll be able to find a recap of the key points from today's episode. You'll find links to our social media. You'll have information on how to submit your own adjuster story.
Sweet.
And did you know that you can also listen to our podcast and actually see our faces on YouTube?
What?
Yeah. So if you go on YouTube, type in what's the scenario with PLRB, you'll get to see, if you were ever curious as to what your friendly voices look like, you'll get to find them there. So don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to rate us, and we will see all of you next
5
time.
stars. Hey,
Yes,
Jeff, thanks for joining us. Yeah, we were so rude to you at the beginning. I hope you don't hold any offense against us. But it was
No,
great.
I just wish I had known people would see my face. I would have worn a different one. Had I known.
You would have worn your membership hat, yes.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
The views and opinions expressed in this resource are those of the individual speaker and not necessarily those of the Property and Liability Resource Bureau, its membership, or any organization with which the presenter is employed or affiliated. The information, ideas, and opinions are presented as information only and not as legal advice or offers of representation. Individual policy language and state laws vary, and listeners should rely on guidance from their companies and counsel as appropriate.